Welcome back to Money Matters. This is DCrowell for Money Matters and for Mortgage Network. In the first half of the show, we were talking about interest rates and what lies behind them, and specifically I was talking about this rarity in the market, which is an emerging negative yield curve. Now, some of you aware that this past week, today is the 16th of December, I believe that it was three days ago, on Tuesday, that the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, as one of her last acts as the director and senior manager of the Federal Reserve, announced that the Fed was raising interest rates 0.25%. That means that the Fed, which controls short-term interest rates in the United States, bumped up, tilted the short end of the curve. The long end of the curve responded how? Answer: nothing happened. In other words, long rates did not commensurately go up. You would think, with all of the announcements in the press, that if interest rates went up 0.25%, that meant that all interest rates went up 0.25%, that a rising tide floats all boats. Watch my elbow. The whole thing goes up 0.25%. Didn't happen. This end went up 0.25% and simply flattened and made the overall yield curve slightly negative. What that's saying is that the rate of inflation, the Fed was taking a precautionary move, and the Fed says that it's going to continue to raise the funds rate 2 or 3 times in 2018. The Fed is looking for some kind of response from the rest of the economy that indicates that the continuing growth in the economy is going to spark, at some point, is going to spark inflation. So far, we haven't seen it. Inflation remains very low. Economic growth remains low but steady. And accrued capital, money to be invested, continues to pile up. We have a stock market that is at an all-time high. We have money pouring into bonds, which keeps interest rates low. And in spite of loads of money in the stock market and loads of money in the bond market, there is still massive amounts of money on the sidelines in corporations and personal portfolios uninvested. What do I mean by that? If you have a stock portfolio and you have $60,000 in stocks and $30,000 in bonds and $10,000 in cash, then 10% of your portfolio is uninvested. So, what does this all mean? And this is, by the way, a global phenomenon. The markets are in a surplus state virtually everywhere. The search for good investments remains the fundamental conversation between all financial advisors, all financial sectors. Where are the good investments? Where can you get a return? Where can you put money or make investments that will work? There is a surplus of money and a shortage of places to put it. It's a very, very interesting time. Now, along comes a very big financial change. Well, let me back up just a moment. What that means going forward into 2018, we'll talk about this in the next couple of shows, but as we approach 2018, it appears that interest rates are not going to go galloping off. It appears that mortgage rates are going to remain in this historic low. The historic low is the 3.5% to 4.5% range, which is extraordinarily low. We hit 3.5% about 2 years ago. It's been bobbling around in the 3.7, 3.8, 3.9% range for most of the last year. On some occasions, it's gone up to 4.1, 4.2, but it quickly comes back to 3.9 or 4. So it looks as if we're going to see a repeat of that carrying on through 2018. If I'm wrong, I'm probably wrong by a tiny amount. 4% might in fact be 4.2, 4.3%. But for all intents and purposes, largely remaining the same. The impact on us locally will be that the healthy, not explosive, but healthy real estate market for particularly working families, new home buyers, and move-up buyers in the $150,000 purchase range up to $500,000 or $600,000, that entire range of folks that encompasses a very large part of Hilton Head and Bluffton. Interest rates are going to remain in a very nice space, and housing will continue to be affordable at its present level. For any of you who haven't jumped into the housing market, it remains an excellent time to do so. Prices have been sneaking slowly up, but rates remain very competitive, so you can get into the market at a level which is advantageous. And for those of you at the lower end of the market, you can get in to home ownership at a significant savings from the cost of renting. The differential between owning and renting right now is significant. It's 15 to 20%. In my career in Hilton Head, which is 21 years here, the own versus rent equation has never been higher than this. Ownership having the lead at the moment. Immediately following the recession, when money was tight, renting was the better option. So you have a very, very interesting and strong real estate market going on in Bluffton and Hilton Head that will remain stable and slightly increasing throughout 2018. The other big consequence that's coming our way of all of this is the tax plan. The tax plan does indeed, the Republican tax plan does indeed look as if it's going to get passed. The details of the tax plan are still emerging. This is the 16th of December. It appears that there's an absolute commitment on the part of the Republican caucus to get it done. And it appears that there's going to be further negotiations leading right up till the minute that it does get done. The overall consequence of the tax plan is a huge increase to the national deficit over the next 10 years, and deficit spending is ultimately stimulative. Stimulative means that the economy will heat up as a result of it, and if the economics of the situation are anything like 97% of economists predict, inflation will begin to appear. So I've spent the entire session describing an economy that is stable, slowly growing, and flat, with interest rates remaining stable. And in comes the hand grenade, which is the tax bill, which may change all of that. It's uncertain what the impact will be at this moment, except that it will radically alter the face of things. Next session in Money Matters next week, we will talk in detail about the tax plan, because by then we will know exactly what the details are, and it should be at that point close to passage. So happy holidays, and talk to you next week. This is DCrowell for Money Matters.